Hello everybody, welcome back to the workshop. So today we are going to continue on our little three-part series of making this fork, spatula, and ladle set with making the fork. Now if you're just tuning in on this series, this is part 3 in the series of making this fork here. So if you haven't seen the ladle or the spatula set, the link will be in the description box down below. If you don't know where that's at, there will be a little arrow right down here just below the video playing. You tap that and that takes you into the description, and you can find all the links to watch the videos, plus the link to go to blacksmithpdfs.com, where you can purchase the exact template of these to be able to make this yourself. So without further ado, let's get started. And here we are, folks. So we have already, like I did in the other 2 videos, we have already gotten this, whatever you want to call it here, the socket completely forged and formed. I went ahead and did that already to just save time on camera, and I'm going to be focusing on the fork end itself. Now, if you want to watch how the socket was formed, go back to the first video in the series, which I'll leave a link in the description down below, which is the video on the spatula. So I went in real depth on how to form the socket. This here is going to be forming the tines of the fork. There's a little bit of a special trick to it, and so that's what we're going to be going over today. The real trick to doing the tines is to make sure you don't melt off the tines. So you want a good hot fire, but you don't want a lot of air. You want to leave the air mostly off if you can. If you're in the gas forge, it's not a big deal. It'll all be one temperature before you know it. But if you're in the coal forge, you want to bring the firebox up to the temperature you need, and then just put the material in there and let it heat up slowly. Otherwise, you'll end up burning off the very tips. And nothing is worse than burning off the tips. So anyways, next shot here, I'll be over at the anvil and we will work these right around the horn. To bend these horns, you want to use a fairly lightweight hammer with a slightly curved or domed face, and you want to work right in at as close to the stem or to the socket as you can to get this first bend in. The closer you get it to the socket, the easier you'll make life on yourself as you bend the rest of the horns around. Do not make the mistake of trying to get the bend right at the tip first off. So now what you're going to see is this is kind of getting a nice twist to it because you're bending it the hard way and it doesn't want to do that. So we'll take it over to the anvil's flat next heat and straighten that out. Got another good heat on it here. So now we're just going to try to straighten those or untwist them. That's the key there, to get those untwisted. Okay? And then we're going to go back over here to the horn and again try to forge these things forward. That's the big key here. We want to forge these forward and still hopefully not bend it like that. Keep them straight on. You have to remember this is not going to want to go forward on you. You're trying to make it bend the hard way. So take your time with it and get multiple heats. So we're going to get another heat on that. I'm going to film this raw and straight through so you guys can see how this all works. I'm going to get this good and hot here. And you might notice I'm using the rounder again. The only reason why I'm using this rounding hammer versus another hammer is it's the correct weight for what I'm doing. I would use my main forging hammer, but it's too heavy. I don't need that heavy a hammer for doing this type of work. So use a hammer that's appropriate to the job that needs to be done. Alright, so now, once again, I'm going to try to get this to bend forward. It doesn't want to bend forward, but we're going to make it, by golly. It says, nope, don't want to go that way. But we're not giving it a choice. And now I'm going to try to forge that one forward. And it's going to say, nope, you can't make me. I'm going to say, yes, I can. So you're going to notice pretty quickly these sides get a little uneven. If you do like me and you didn't pay attention, you're too busy demonstrating this process and not spending enough time actually getting the work done. So as you can see there, those, they're starting to go forward a little bit better. So we're going to work on this a little bit more, and we're going to try to push this leg here out further with that leg. Let's get it hot again. If you do notice that you cut one leg or one tine a little shorter than the other, all you have to do is put it on the horn of the anvil and draw it out a little bit more. That's just a quick tip on that. So ideally what we're looking for is to have a really nice smooth inside, rounded if we can, and then have tines that come out and stick out straight. But at the end, we gotta fork these up. So they can't just go straight because it wouldn't hold any meat. You have to make it to where they curve up slightly and they hold meat a little better. Or fork things a little better. Vegetables and everything else like that if you're not a carnivore, like I am. So now we're gonna go ahead and try to move that metal forward a little bit better. And that'll get that up nice and even. We'll take out that little bump. All this work here is pretty much just a matter of time. You just got to take your time with it and adjust things properly and get these tines to look about right. One thing, quick tip, you'll want to make sure that you do not hit this area right in here. This area here is your transition between your handle or your socket and the actual fork bit itself. This is very easily damaged by a missed hammer blow of getting that set on the anvil by accident and hitting out here. And when you do that, all of a sudden you've got this big nick right in this area here, and it's very hard to clean out. So always keep that off the anvil while you're working your tines out to shape. So as you can see, that fork's coming along marvelously. We'll take one more heat on that, do a little more tweaking with this side, just tighten it up a little bit, and we should be good to go. As I said before, bring your forge up to the temperature you want in a coal forge. Whatever temperature color the coal forge is, your metal will be that same temperature if you give it enough time. You do not have to crank the air blast. If you crank the air blast too much on this, you will burn the tips up. So be very careful. Be very, very careful of that. Like I said, there's nothing worse than having all this work into this and then end up burning a tip right off. So now we're going to go back to the horn and adjust that one over. It's looking pretty good. Draw it out a little bit more. That way I get a little extra length in it. And those both look about right. So I'm pretty happy with that. You can make it as perfect as you like. It's really up to you. You make it as perfect or as straight or however you like. That's really, like I said, it's up to you. Now you may be asking yourself, okay, Roy, you got that much of it done. Now what? Well, after you've got these all lined up the way you want them, I mostly got it there where I want it. The next step in this process is we're going to take and give these a little bit of a dish. And now there's multiple ways you can do that. You can go to a wooden stump. That's probably a preferred method. You can use a swedge block with a spoon die. That's a great method. I use that a lot. But I'm going to show you a way of doing it at the anvil. And it's really quick and easy. So let me get one good heat on this. Let me get this fire cranked up. Bear with me, fellas. We're almost there. And I thank you all for watching this series, by the way. So, we will get this good and hot. One last go here. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this. Not like I can talk to you. Oh, one of the easiest ways to do it right at the anvil is to get yourself a wooden block. Any 2x6 will work. And you've got to have a domed face hammer. Something like a rounding hammer, a ball peen hammer, anything that's got a nice smooth dome to it. That's really key. Get a little dome in the hammer. And now go to your wood block and just hammer straight on top. Now it's really hard to see what I'm doing because this is a wood block and it's putting off a lot of fire, but it's essentially giving these things a little bit of curve. Now, with this little bit of curve, you might be like, well, why is that so important? This curve, and the reason why you want it to kind of dome on you, is because it pitches those tines kind of inwards like. And I'll try to see if I can't get this close so I can show you guys what I'm talking about here. We'll get rid of that. Let me zoom you up here, and so you can see what I'm talking about. Hopefully you guys can see this okay. So it gives it this little bit of a dome. It pitches those things inwards just ever so slightly, almost like as if it was a spoon with the center cut out. That really helps hold the meat or whatever you're forking right onto this. And I don't know why that is, but I mean, you could always assume. But right there, that's done. So like I said, keep an eye out. I said this in the ladle video. I'm going to do a whole nother video where I do the finishing work on these and I do the seasoning work on these, because these have to be seasoned before you attach them to their handles. Otherwise, well, you'll never get them seasoned. So I'll show that work in another video. But if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up. And if you disliked it, you can always give it a big thumbs down. That's okay too. All counts for engagement, so I really appreciate it either way. And like I always say, God bless you. And before I go, haha, almost got you. Before I go, one last thing. You can find the plans for this at blacksmithpdfs.com. I have exact templates for these. So now I'll say God bless you, and we'll catch you on the next one. We'll see you later there, ladies and gents.